Welcome back to Firstly Unfiltered. I'm your host, Kelly Renee. And today I want to get into kind of continuing from my last episode where I talked about pain people can't see, pain people are dealing with internally because of things they don't like about themselves, and the different kinds of ways they use to numb themselves or fix themselves or make themselves feel better about themselves. And I was going through some old stuff, looking for some pictures for a previous episode, and I found this poem. And I thought it would be perfect to read this poem that I wrote when I was, 17. It was in 1994, I believe I wrote it. So about 30 years ago. And it's just perfect for what I'm talking about now. So let me go ahead and read it. Okay, here's a poem I wrote about kind of these feelings of how you don't feel like you belong, how you don't feel normal, how you have problems that no one knows about, and how you try and deal with them. So this is a 17-year-old me writing a poem for English class, and this is what me and my friends decided to write about. It's about a group of girls that got along well. They had the same thing in common that wasn't too swell. They got together when they were just 16. There are 4 of them: Kim, Julie, Sarah, and Jean. Each one had a problem that alone they could not take. The solution they found was a hard habit to break. Their solution was wrong. They had gotten in too deep. It made sense at the time. It's a secret they still keep. Kim had too much pressure. Grades were all she was about. She couldn't take it much longer, and she needed a way out. All she did was study, having no time for friends. This soon led to depression. Kim wanted life to end. Her mood slowly changed. Her grades dropped low. It soon was apparent it had started to show. She hurt deep inside and hurt the ones who cared. Life was falling apart. It just wasn't fair. Next, there was Julie, working every day of the week. It made her feel needed, and that's exactly what she seeked. Home was the place she most dreaded to be. There she was beaten and abused mentally. From working too much and being brokenhearted, she could no longer keep up like when she started. Julie bought some stuff to help her problems go away. She knew it was wrong, but it's all she had to get through the day. Then there was Sarah. Being popular was her thing. She was cheerleader, most attractive, and the homecoming queen. The girls were all jealous. The boys were all obsessed. For her appearance seemed perfect, but inside she was a mess. It was becoming more difficult just to fit in, needing help with her studies, already bulimic to stay thin. Last but not least, there was Big Bubba Jean, 170 pounds of fat that busted through her seams. Always being made fun of made her want to lose the pounds, but her low self-esteem kept her tied to the ground. She tried throwing up and not eating at all. Being desperate for help, she took a big fall. About 1 month later, she weighed 128. This dramatic change made her look great. But soon poor Jean got too carried away. The scale read 107. Jean died that same day. Before this awful tragedy, the girls were having a blast. They were losing weight, feeling great, and forgetting about the past. At school, they could go to the bathroom like everything's just fine. But once locked in the stall, each would snort a line. The girls soon realized after a few weeks that the whole school knew that they were on tweak. The new fact did not slow them down, but the death of Jean put their feet on the ground. They admitted their problems. That's the first step. Then they promised to quit, but will this promise be kept? So at 16, 17 in high school, as you can see, that wasn't completely true. It was mixed of problems. Each person was kind of different than what I was talking about. But as you can see, everyone in high school has problems that they don't know how to deal with. Doesn't matter if you're pretty, homecoming queen. Problems don't skip you because of who you are. Everyone has them. It's just how you're going to deal with them. And when you're younger and you don't understand how to deal with them, you do what people have already tried or your friends are doing. And I know I didn't feel like I belonged in my family. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. So I was just chasing normal. And it was crazy because I would I did crystal meth in high school for a little while. And then I also smoked weed. So I always talk about like I would wake up and do lines and then smoke weed to go to bed. And it's like I was counterdicting both drugs. So it's like I almost was putting myself back normal. So I wish I would have navigated a little bit more without trying outside sources to make me feel normal or to get acceptance. I feel like I was always chasing something to make me feel like I fit in. And I eventually ended up joining the military, and that kind of helped me stop all the drugs and do all that and realize that being myself was better than trying to numb everything. But at the time in high school, you don't know, you're just chasing what you think is going to make you feel better. You feel like you're the only one that feels this way, the only one that feels like they don't belong. But secretly, everyone does. And if you could just put yourself into positive things to help you deal with that, I wish I would have got into fitness back then or did something besides reaching to the drugs. But that's what was there, unfortunately. And it is about kind of who you're hanging out with, because it was dependent on who I was hanging out with on what my extracurricular activities would be. Was I drinking? Was I doing stuff that was good for me? It kind of depends on your circle. But luckily, my parents were kind of the parents who let me figure stuff out on my own. And I always wondered when I became a parent if I would be as lenient. They used to make comments like, oh, why are you up at Sunday at 3 a.m? Are the cartoons great? Or at one point when I was losing so much weight, they would be, if you're losing any more weight, we're going to take you to the doctors and figure this out. So at some points when they felt like it was getting too far, they'd say stuff to me. But otherwise, they kind of let me go through my phases and worked it out, which was probably the best situation because I never stuck with anything for too long. I tried it. I didn't like it. I moved on. But I do have an addictive personality, as you can see with everything I do. I go all in. Even if it's drugs, I go all in, which isn't a good thing. And that's why I know as an adult to stay away from them. I understand that I don't need uppers. I more need a downer if I'm going to do something. And now in life, with how scary the world is, I'd be terrified just to buy something from someone and do it. So I don't do drugs now. There was a time in my life when my mom died or my mom was dying and I was watching that I couldn't deal with it. And I needed help with trying to deal with my emotions. And instead of doing that, I was presented, at this point I can afford it, cocaine, and said, hey, you should do this. This will help you forget about your problems and numb you and help you continue with life. And so I started doing that. And I think that was in 2019 before my mom died. And I did it for almost a year. And it makes me upset that someone would present that to me as a solution, because once I was on my own and I still needed to pick myself out of this big dark hole I was in, I leaned towards church and working out and making myself better. I didn't lean on stuff to numb my issues so I didn't have to deal with them. As an adult, you should be able to deal with them. And I'm also ashamed of myself that I didn't say no. When someone you love and care about tells you that something might help you and you trust them, you try it. And I wish I didn't. And I'm someone who doesn't even drink, and that's against the norm, and I don't care. I'm not about doing stuff to fit in at this point in my life. But when you're in a bad place, sometimes you make bad decisions. And sometimes it's really hard to reverse those bad decisions. Sometimes you get in too deep. But for me, I hit rock bottom because of other things in my life. And I decided I needed a change. This wasn't the solution for me. This wasn't who I wanted to be. It was making me age worse, look worse. It just was doing nothing good for me. And I'm still upset with the person who introduced that to me. At this point, I think maybe that was part of their plan to make me weaker so I could be taken advantage of easier. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure why anyone would introduce something like that to someone when they're at a low point in their life. So, I mean, I know a lot of people do drugs, recreational as adults, and they can handle it, but you got to really be careful about who you're asking to party with you and do that with you, because some people have addiction problems and some people have other issues you don't know about. And to introduce something like that to someone and then let them spiral and not be able to help them is just a bad thing to do. So if someone comes to you for help, like let's take them to the gym or to church or out on a jog or out to eat, let's do something positive that makes them feel better and not something that numbs it for the moment. And for me in high school, I had a lot of friends whose parents drug tested them, who were very controlling, who didn't let them experience anything. And a lot of those friends were the ones who ended up doing it when they got out of their parents' house and affecting them later on in life. Because when you're in high school, it's high school. I mean, it's easy to get through if you're paying attention. So that's kind of the time to do that kind of stuff. But then nowadays, I think maybe you never need to do that stuff. Like just experiment with different activities. Like you don't need to do different drugs to see how they make you feel. They make you feel like shit. They're not good for you. I mean, people do them at night to party and forget about stuff or have a good time. But honestly, like I can have a good time without drugs. And I'll be out when I used to go out and I didn't drink, people would be like, are you drunk? I'd be like, no. I entered the wet t-shirt contest in Cabo completely sober because I don't need to drink to do things. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I don't need to be drunk to do it. So this episode, I just wanted to bring myself back to high school, to how awful I used to feel, how misunderstood I used to feel, how I just didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And now in my life, I feel the exact same way. I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I feel like I am one of a kind and I am misunderstood. But at this point in my life, I don't give a fuck. And I'm not going to sit here and try and numb myself or do stuff to make me shrink or take up less space or make other people comfortable. So this is me, not ashamed of my past, but proud that I've made it through everything and that I'm learning and that I'm adjusting and I'm trying to be a better person every single day. So just know that you're not alone. Everyone feels like shit. Everyone feels like they don't belong. Everyone has these intrusive thoughts. But again, not today, Satan, not today. You think about yourself how you want to, and don't let the negative thoughts overtake the positivity or the positive thoughts. I tell myself every day, you're badass. You can do it. Don't let other people affect how you feel about yourself. You can do whatever you want to do. Just get up every day and be the best person you can be. And that's my advice to everyone. Till next time.